So we understand that it's a huge step for parents and the students, their children, to make when choosing to come to study in the UK. With that in mind, parents need to know that they've done everything they can to ensure that the student is going to be okay. Now, the reason that they're going to come to the UK is that the UK offers some of the best universities and the best study environments in the world. And the whole idea of sending the child to the UK would be to get them a first-class degree with the opportunity of really good career prospects for the future. So that's the first priority for the parents. That's why they're investing so much time, energy and money in sending their child to the UK to study. Secondly, they want to ensure that their son or daughter is adequately cared for and has the support service and is going to be safe and is going to be okay. And is there going to be somebody there if there is a problem or a crisis? So with those things in mind, the parents have to really think hard and be sure that they're doing the right thing, because, as I said, it's not just the time and energy that they're investing, it's a whole lot of money as well. So they need to get things right, because the last thing for the parent and for the student is 3/4 of the way or halfway through the course, they realise that it's not for them, that they don't feel supported, they feel isolated, they can't cope with the study regime, they can't handle life in the UK because it's not what they expected, and they give up, pack their bags and return home. To which point the parents obviously are very upset to the thinking that the child has failed and not been able to complete the course and achieve what they really wanted to set out doing. So that's why we're so successful in supporting international students. In the first instance, that we understand life here in the UK. We understand all the different aspects that life has to offer here. And I must say it's totally different. I've travelled the world with work, and I can say that there is no real place like the UK in terms of its culture and lifestyle. And it is a huge challenge, very problematic for students when they come to the UK to make that transformation from wherever they come from, be it the Arab states, China, India, Thailand, Malaysia, wherever it is. They will never have experienced anything like what they experience in the UK. So they need to get that right, because again, that can be really upsetting if it's not addressed, or if they find themselves with a problem. Gaston, is there anything you want to add?
Well, I just would like to probably open a session for the questions, but I think that in the UK you guys changed the time. This is why that maybe there isn't a lot of people online, because of the time change, probably, because it was you guys changed the time in the UK.
Yeah, so Sunday, Saturday night, we put the clocks forward. So
yeah, that's why, because the schedule of the time we sent to people,
right,
it's an hour from now. Right. This is why I wasn't there. But let me go back, and you already mentioned how this the company started. What about the objectives and the focus of the company services that you offer?
So the whole idea of Student Safety UK is to take that student from mum and dad when they first land in the UK, get them ready, have them prepared for life in the UK, be there for them and help them on the journey through university or college. So from the moment they land, we're there by their side, and we can be helping them. We're not constantly in their face. We're not monitoring them 24/7 or anything like that. We are there to support and help and guide them, because our whole objective is to see them through that journey, come out the other end, finish their degree, do well, and have had a really good, positive and happy experience. Because the whole idea of coming to the UK is not just to study, because you're going to be living in the UK. It's to enjoy that experience and have a positive time. So you want to make friends, you want to experience all the good things that the UK has to offer. And what we can do is to ensure that that happens. So we have ideas where we create a community of international students. So we're very proactive in what we do.
And regarding the support and what is being offered in the package and the support of the package? What does it include?
So from the moment the students register with us, we send out a welcome pack that includes SIM cards, information about where they're going to be staying, the university, the area, what they can expect, an introduction to their coordinator, and the coordinator will be their friend while they're in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
If they want, we offer the service of accommodation. So if they want their own accommodation arranging, we work with some really good, high quality accommodation providers here in the UK. And the last thing that students want is to fall into a poor accommodation provider. So we work with regulated and certificated accommodation providers. So if a student wants to live in, say, London, and on their accommodation they would like a gym or a cinema room or a bar or a nice eating area, we work with the providers that can do that for them. So, and not only do we do the arrangement and organise all the contract negotiations and things like that, what we also do is we manage that throughout the process for whilst the student's there. So if a student has issues with the heating or the security at the accommodation, or problems with locks or doors or something like that, again, we're there that they can call upon us and help them with that. So the accommodation, it's really important to get that right, because if you imagine going on holiday and you've got this dream holiday planned and you turn up at the hotel, it's just not what you expect. It can really spoil the experience of your holiday. So these students are coming over for a year, 2, 3 years. So it's really important that they get their accommodation right. They don't want to sort of be staying in an area which is very high crime rates. It's isolated from the university. They have to catch several buses or use public transport or the tube. What they want is convenience. They want safety. They want a nice quality accommodation, and we can arrange that.
What about do you recommend housing and accommodation before departure, or can you inspect if the parents selected a housing? Can you go and inspect it and make sure it's okay and it meets the standard?
Yeah, so that's really important. So what we do, if a student prior to them coming to the UK wants us to sort the accommodation out for them, we will give them 3, 4 options that we recommend. And then from that, if they choose one, we will visit the site. So to make sure that the room and the accommodation that they are booking is going to be what is advertised. There's been students in the past, none of ours, but we've found students in the past where they've booked their accommodation that they've seen online on a website. Mm-hmm. And when they've landed there, the accommodation is just not what they expected. It's overlooking a railway track or a car park. It's very noisy. It's not safe. So we do that. So we take proper pictures, speak to the landlord, and make sure that everything that the landlord is saying is on site is there. The room that the student is interested in is what they want and what they expect. So yeah, it's really important that that part of the service is right. And that's why we work with good quality accommodation providers.
Okay, if we want to go to another subject, which is the communication between you and the students and the parents. What is the mechanism or the protocol of communication between the students and student safety, and between student safety and the parents, and the relationship between this triangle of communication? How does it work?
So first of all, once the student's registered and they've negotiated with their agent that they're going to use our services, we send them an email and a questionnaire. So we want to find out as much as we can about the student who's coming to us. And that'll include their likes, dislikes, their hobbies, their interests, their religion status, that sort of thing. So we can build a good profile of that student. From then, the student will be introduced to their coordinator. Their coordinator will make contact. They'll send them a video. Normally, when there's no lockdown and no COVID, we would go out to the country to meet the parents and the students prior to them coming out, so they have a face-to-face, so they could be introduced to us. And then from then, the students, once they land in the UK, would be introduced to the coordinator, meet the coordinator, and they would arrange a regular contact schedule. So if the student was comfortable that it was going to be weekly, the coordinator would visit them. We don't do emails, we don't do WhatsApp, we do face-to-face, because the whole idea is making sure the student's okay. It's easy just to say, no, I'm okay, thanks, rather than having a coffee or a sandwich, and we can talk about if there are any problems. The whole idea is that the coordinators build up a relationship with the students, and through that relationship, they create trust and confidence in each other. We do not sit in judgment of any students. We do not admonish. We do not scold them. We're there as their friend and their counsellor, advisor. So the communication is face-to-face with the students and the coordinator. They can contact us at any time, 24/7. Somebody's available to sort things out. And that goes for the parents as well. So each month we'll make contact with the parents, or fortnightly if they prefer, just to give them an update as to what we've been doing and engaging with their son or daughter. And we can do that through Zoom, video, WhatsApp, or simple emails, as to give them an update as to how they're getting on. And if they've got any concerns as well, they can just fire into us. So mum and dad, at any time, we understand that our clients and students come from all over the world with different time zones. So there's always going to be somebody available from our end in the UK to talk to a parent. So if a parent says, I've got worries about my son, he seems very low and depressed, is everything okay? We can make sure that that's going to be sorted out. We can visit the son, or we can say, look, we saw them yesterday, and we know that he's got a problem with a relationship with a girl, or he's got a problem with studies, and we are managing that. We're getting through it. So we don't report everything back to mum and dad that the son or daughter doesn't want us to. We're not there to spy on them. But if we feel that the student's got a problem, we will talk with them and say, look, it's better that folks know, your parents know about this, if it's a serious issue, or if it's something that we can work out together, and that's what we'll do. There's no need to worry, mum and dad.
Yeah, this is a fine line between the parents and the students, and we are in the middle. And how do you, was my major question, is that how do you play this role between the expectation of the parents and the expectation of the students, and you have to gain the trust of both sides?
Sure. And that's what it's all about. It's all about the trust. The parents have got to trust us that we're there for the students. If, say, for instance, a student has issues with alcohol and it's impacting and affecting his studies and affecting his lifestyle and his health, we'll try and work it out between us. And if we feel that there's further help needed and it's becoming a serious problem, then we'll speak with mum and dad. From our experience, most situations can be resolved and dealt with without the need to worry mum and dad. Mum and dad don't need to know everything. We understand that. But at the same time, the parents would expect us to report back if there was a problem. So, you know, if the son or daughter for some reason was hospitalised, of course mum and dad would have to know. If they became seriously ill, yeah. If they were having trouble with their studies and they were really behind with their studies and they needed extra tuition, which maybe require extra finance from mum and dad, then we would talk with the students and say, look, you know, maybe it's better coming from us that we can tell the parents. So we use common sense, Ghassan.
Okay, the other subject I want to get into, which we move to the safety issue, is that how do you guarantee the safety of the students to the parents? I mean, since you're not going to be with them 24/7, but you are in touch with them, but what kind of safety, how do you provide the safety?
Yeah, so we do this through education, and it sounds quite serious and formal, but actually the way we present it and deliver it to the students, it's done in an informal manner. We call them education modules. So when the student lands in the UK, they need to know about certain things, the do's and don'ts, the wheres and where-tos, and how to stay safe. And we provide that on an informal basis. So the relationship with the coordinator, the student will have a conversation with them, and the coordinator will say, right, okay, we're going to have a conversation or a chat about accessing the health system in the UK. As an example, there was a Chinese girl who was a friend of one of our students. She developed a toothache. She didn't know how to access the UK health system. She left it. It became more serious, became infected, an abscess, and she had to undergo surgery in hospital, all through a toothache and neglecting it, and the lack of awareness on how to access the health system. So something like that would say to this, we'll talk with the students. We'll talk about how to stay safe wandering around off campus in the evening. Now, the UK is predominantly a safe place, but like all countries, we have an element of crime. And unfortunately, international students, they stand out. So what we would advise, we would say to students, look, first of all, go out as a pair or as a group, safety in numbers. And this is where our experience with police officers comes in, because we're very much about crime prevention and risk reduction. Reduce the risk of attack or a crime occurring with you. So don't have your best jacket or your belongings on show, your iMac and your iPhone X wandering around in McDonald's in a particularly bad area. So we advise them as to how to live and act and behave safely. So there's areas we would say, look, try to avoid this area in the evening because there's a rate of crime at the moment which is quite high. So again, it's that prevention. And we talk about not just the dangerous and sinister things that could happen to them, but the more mundane, how to access the travel system, how to report if you lose something, what happens if you lose your wallet with your bank cards in and things like that. So we're all about how to minimize those things from first occurring, because that's what we want, that ideally our students go through their life at university without incident. If that happens, then we've done our job right, we've succeeded. But sometimes some things are out of our control. A lot of students come over here and forget that we drive on the wrong side of the road to how they do at home, and they find themselves not looking the right way at junctions and things like that, so they become hospitalised. So again, we try and tell them about that, advise them the best way to do it. Don't use the electric scooters that you can hire around here because they are real dangerous. So it's all about preventing things from happening and reducing things from happening, and that's done informally.
You mentioned the coordinators several times. Basically, and they are the one who are the main contact with the students during the whole year. Can you give us some background about these coordinators? Who are they, and how do you assign them to students based on what?
So our coordinators are all mature, experienced adults, parents. So first thing they understand kids and young people. They have either a police or a social care background. So again, crisis management is a big part of their experience, handling issues, solving problems, and also having good interpersonal skills, being personal, being able to talk to young people without judging them, without creating some sort of barrier between them. We want to build the confidence and trust. So our coordinators are all experienced people and mature, and we have them located around the UK regionally. So the UK is not a particularly big country. From Edinburgh to London is a 5-hour journey. So we have coordinators based in regions, so the Northwest, the Northeast, Southeast, Southwest, London and the Midlands. And each coordinator has a responsibility for up to 50 students. So that's who they manage and look after. And that coordinator will visit. It can be every other day, it can be weekly, whatever the student feels comfortable with. Some students like the reassurance and confidence of meeting up with the coordinator every week. Others say it's not a problem, leave it to every 2 or 3 weeks. But what the coordinator is also responsible for is creating that community. So, like at the start I said, we're very proactive. And what I mean by that is that coordinators will encourage students in a social gathering. So on a Thursday evening, we'll get a group of students, international students from, say, Warwick University, 10 or 12 of them, all invited, put a coach on, and we'll go bowling, or we'll go down to Stratford-upon-Avon or Shakespeare's home country, or we'll organise a day out. And what we want to do, we want to create that community feeling. We don't want any students, our students, isolated and feel that they can't make friends. Because one of the things that we do understand is that teenagers, young people of today are totally different from 5 years ago. A lot of how they conduct their life is through social media, mobile phones and things like that. So sometimes the ability to socially interact can get lost. So there's nothing better than somebody saying, okay, team, we're putting this event on. You're all invited. It's £10 each. We're going to go to the bowling, or we're going to go to the cinema, and then go for a meal afterwards. So the coordinator will organise that, arrange all that, transportation, everything, and just get them together and just let them have a good evening or a good day. And that's very much encouraged, because what we find as well, Gassan, is that those students will maybe open up and feel a lot more comfortable now they've seen familiar faces and got a friendship group, which will give them some comfort about living in the UK, rather than thinking, I'm going to spend all my time in my room because I'm finding it difficult to make friends. We don't want that. We want people, as I said at the start, the whole idea of coming to the UK is not just the study and the educational aspect, it's also the cultural, the friendship building, and the whole positive experience.
Yeah, you also mentioned the GPS monitor. How does it work, and what's the benefit of that? And you know, as one of the physical elements that you give to the students. And also, you said you I don't know if you mentioned the SIM card, or if you can elaborate on that also.
Yeah, so the SIM card is what it is. So what we do, it's a prepaid SIM card. So it's a UK one that we send out to the students. And on there is loaded with emergency contact numbers, our details, the coordinator's details, information in terms of a couple of messages about who's going to meet you, if they want airport pickup, who's going to meet you, times, that sort of thing. So what they can do, as soon as they land in the UK, switch over to UK SIM. They're on our network. They've got everything they need in terms of numbers and stuff like that. So they're prepared and can hit the ground running. The tracker, it's something that we offer to all students. Some students like the idea, some think just put it in a drawer and leave it. That's up to them. But what we find is, again, it's another mechanism of support and reassurance, because the tracker is equipped with an SOS button. So if they find themselves in a difficult situation, they just press it and speak to somebody. So if they're in the situation where they've lost their mobile phone, or had their mobile phone taken from them, or it's damaged, and they're needing help, they can use the tracker, press the button, it goes through to a command system. Somebody will speak to them and quickly identify where they are and how best they can get out of that situation, and find out if they need an emergency service, if they need an ambulance, or if they need the police or something like that. What it's also good for us, we don't monitor it 24/7 unless the student asks us to. So say, for instance, we had a group of students who went for a day out in London, and they went as a group. A couple got isolated because they missed the tube, they got on the wrong tube, didn't know where they were going. We quickly knew where they were from the tracking, and were able to send somebody and pick them up and get them back with the group. So again, it's another support piece of kit that we offer. We're not there to spy. We don't report on to mum and dad to say they're out again on Friday night, or they're around at this house where they shouldn't be, or stuff like that. That's not what it's there for. If the student doesn't want to take it out with them, then we're not monitoring anything. But if they want us to use it for their safety and their well-being, we happily do that for them.
Okay. Now, regarding the help that the students might need, like, for example, he might need the help in medical assistance, or if he falls ill, or he might need help in his studying, struggling to study. How far is the help, and how much you can go to help him out in these kind of scenarios? Like, or maybe a help in the legal issue, or help in the psychological issue.
So in terms of the health, so if a student has an accident, and these can occur in all sorts of ways. If a student is hospitalised, each student is given like a plastic credit card which has our details on. And what we also do with the coordinator, when they meet with the student, they'll tell them to put what we call ICE on their phone in their contacts list. It's called in case of emergency. So our details are on that, because accidents and incidents and all sorts of problems can occur at any time of day or night. So they can't rely on the help of the university, because if the university support services shut on 6 o'clock on a Friday night and the student has an accident, who do they call? So with this credit card in their wallet or their purse, the emergency services know who to contact. Obviously, we speak English, so we can communicate clearly with them. If it's on their phone, they have it in case of emergency, and we can step in. So we can go to the hospital, find out what the situation is. We can do any running around in terms of, do they need clothing? Do they need any medical facilities or things like that? So we can step in. We can be there as a mum and dad would, or your brother would, to represent you. And if it was serious, obviously we'd make contact with the parents and update them with the situation. So that is the serious side of it. On the other side, if we've had students in terms of the COVID and they needed testing kits or COVID PPE equipment, we've been able to facilitate that for them and get that. That's all part of the service. So if some students were short of masks and they couldn't get out because they were poorly or they were having to isolate, we turned up, we provided them with masks, we provided them with food and the support that they would expect, because that's what they're paying for. In terms of the legal aspect, yeah, we've done it. We've represented students where they've fell into a dispute with landlords over accommodation, and we've stepped in and resolved the situation without needing solicitors. Because of our experience and background, we're able to do that. So we can save the family an awful lot of money and hassle in respect of that. So again, it's not just the safety aspect, it's the whole well-being and that holistic whole package that we coming back to. We want them to be happy. So anything that doesn't make them happy, we'll try and resolve that for them. That's what we want to do. We want to solve that problem. Okay,
now we want to talk about the main subject of the century, which is COVID-19, and the problem and the worry that every parent is worried about, and also the situation in the UK regarding COVID-19 and the immunization, the vaccine. Just to give us an update on how do we deal with COVID-19 issues, like if a student got infected or they got isolated for some reason or other, maybe their roommate got infected. What is the steps that we do to deal with these issues regarding COVID-19?
So the current state of the
excuse me, one second. I just want to announce that if anybody has a question, they can write it in the comment and we will present it to Steve. We're getting some questions, so I'm reading some questions that's getting in from the certain comments. So if anybody has a comment, please write it down in the comments. But if they have a question, please write it down. Go ahead. Sorry, Steve. Go ahead.
Yeah. So in terms of the status in the UK, we've vaccinated 35 million people, which is just over half the population of the UK. It's expected that everybody over 21 will be vaccinated by late August, maybe earlier, because of the way the rollout is occurring at the moment. There's going to be no need for people under 16, and it's been suggested by the government that students coming into the UK, if they haven't had the vaccine when they come in, will be offered the vaccine, as long as that age is eligible at that time. So if they came in July, they wouldn't be eligible because the way the rollout is occurring, they're doing it by age range. At the moment, we're doing the over 50s. 2 weeks' time, it's the over 45s, over 40s, and so on. So by the time students come into in September, vaccines should be available to them. But by then, the majority of the population of the UK, apart from the kids, won't be. They won't be vaccinated. Everybody else will be. In respect of the universities, they are all saying that they will be fit for purpose and ready to provide online teaching in September, in a very much a state of normality. The crucial date for the UK at the moment is June the 21st. That is the date set that everything will be relaxed. The UK will then, if you like, be reset to normal. Masks will come off, social distancing, and everything will be open, and people should be going back to a normal way of life. All the data at the moment suggests that's going to happen. Our death rate has fallen dramatically. The people going into hospital has fallen away, and has the COVID circulation fallen away dramatically as well. So everything's going in the right direction. In terms of what we can do for students, if it was to come back, God forbid, what that could happen. But we've learned a lot from the past year in how we look after the students in terms of their mental well-being. It's really important that they don't become isolated, that they are contacted on a more frequent basis, more regularly. We were holding Zoom meetings every week, quizzes, competitions, delivering PPE. We were delivering food. We were visiting because we had authority from the government. We had a status where we were allowed to travel around. We weren't in lockdown because of the services we provide. So our students really benefited from having us compared to students who don't use our services. And it's all well sort of publicised as to the problems that they've had, not just in terms of their mental well-being and their physical health, but also their studying, their learning has all suffered massively, and leaving a lot of doubt as to what's going to be the situation next year. So a lot of students have suffered, and I wouldn't have liked to have been a student this year at all. It's been a horrible time, but we think that we've really supported our students well, and they've come out of it. And like I say, we've learned a lot that we can take on to the next crisis, because as much as you try to prepare for everything, I don't think anybody was prepared for a nationwide lockdown in the way that it's occurred. So as other organisations have learnt, we've learnt as well, and we've now got strategy in place. So things like, if students quickly want to be repatriated back to the home, we can arrange that. We've done that. We've got access to certain airlines and organisations like that. So this can happen rather than students just sitting in a small room for 12 months with no support. It's good for them to get back home with the support of the family.
Okay. Now regarding the culture of the UK and the culture shock that students might face, and how to deal with it, and how different is the UK culture from other cultures, where people coming from different backgrounds, different cultures, different languages, how things are different in the UK, and how do you deal with it?
Yeah, so the UK is very much a melting pot of different nationalities, different backgrounds, different cultures. We've got over 250 mainstream religions in the UK. There is not one really predominant religion. There is not one predominant colour. Some areas in the UK, some parts of London have pockets of particular nationalities. So South East London, there's a big Bangladeshi community. In the southwest of London, there's a big Colombian and South American community of Brazilians. In North London, it's Turkish. So it's very much a melting pot. Normally, life is good in the UK. But for an international student, the differences they will notice, particularly going to university, you've got to understand that the UK consumes more alcohol than anybody else in Europe. The UK consumes more drugs than anybody else in Europe. And with those two aspects, they inherently bring problems, and problems with violence and assaults and things like that. And there are ways to stay away from that very easily, as long as you understand what's happening. But at the same time, you don't want to be drawn into it, because it's not a good place to go. So we advise and we counsel students as to how to still stay sociably acceptable within your peer group and your friends, without having to go and get blind drunk every Thursday night, which is student night in most universities. And the same with the drugs. You know, there's a lot of drugs available on campus in universities. and young people are pressurized to try it and have a go at it. We can't stop that from happening. If a student wants to try a drug or taste alcohol, that's down to them. We're not on their shoulder 24/7. But what we are there is if we see that it's impacting on their life, their health, and their well-being and their studies, then we'll have a chat with them. As mum and dad would, as your uncle would, or something like that. They would say, look, this is getting out of hand now. This is a problem. And we can help them with that. But in the first instance, we would have a conversation informally over a coffee about the bad side of indulging in alcohol. So we understand that they will want to partake in it and have a go and try it out. And normally most students come out of it okay and think, yeah, okay, I can manage it. But we can help them with that.
Now, regarding communication with parents, do parents can call you anytime and they can always keep calling you or bugging you to call to what's going on with my son or daughter, and how they will be able to communicate you through what? Through a phone or through messenger, or what kind of communication tools can the parents communicate with you, and how often can they call you? Is there a limit for how often they can check on the status of their son or daughter?
No, not at all. Not at all. We understand that some parents will be quite happy to let their son or daughter go to the UK, and they'll see them in a year's time, and they'll just be confident that they'll be okay, and they've got us, and if there's any problem going to occur, that we'll contact them. And we understand that there's going to be those parents who want regular contact. There is no limit. So we negotiate with the parents as how they want to contact us. Do they want to use Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, just a phone call? They'll have the coordinated details as well as the student, so they'll know who's looking after their son or daughter. They'll have our details as a head office team in terms of if they get no response for whatever reason from the coordinator, if they need an immediate response, we have a 24/7 call line that they can come through and speak to a person, not just an answer machine. So we pick up the message, and then depending on what the crisis or the problem is or the reason for the call, they'll be guided to whether they think our people are guided to whoever think they're suitable to deal with the problem. So no, we welcome parents, because what we've seen in the past, Ghassan, is that once parents understand what we're doing and how they can look to us, that soon drops away, because they've got confidence in us, because they know we've sorted it out. So they understand there's no need to constantly ring up and say, have you seen him? Have you seen her? And all this. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, we update them.
But how do you communicate, and how they call you? Is it they use a phone number, they call directly, or they call WhatsApp, or what's the way for them to call you?
Whichever their preferred method. So if it's really serious and they desperately need to speak to somebody there and then they call a number. They've got a hotline number, our 24/7 call centre number. If it's something that can wait 24 hours, they can send us a WhatsApp or an email. We give them the whole list of different methods they can contact, and it's highlighted. If it's urgent, ring this number. If it's not urgent, try one of the other methods.
Okay, I have a question from Farah saying that she's wondering what's the difference between the Student Safety UK and other companies and universities, that they offer the same care, and other organization recruiters also offer services to students. What's the difference between them and us?
Okay, so in terms of university, and universities offer a support service to students, but that is limited. So if you understand that Nottingham University, which is just down the road from where I am today, they have a support team of 18 people, and those 18 people look after the welfare of just over 30,000 students. So you can see the difference and the problems that's going to occur. So if you're a student and you say, I have problem with my accommodation in the halls of residence, the heating's gone, and you email the office on a Friday night, it won't be picked up till Monday, and you may get a response the following Friday because they'll have had hundreds of emails come in. So you are in a list of people that they will try and sort out for you. If, however, an incident occurs off campus, say for instance, you have your bag stolen, or you've run over, or you have an issue with a seller for something, the university is not there for that. They are there for issues on campus. So we understand as a business that when we talk about studying in the UK, actually when you break it down, a student, say for instance, who are doing a humanities course, something like history or English language or something like that, they will spend on average about 8 to 12 hours a week on campus studying. The rest of the time they're at home in their accommodation, socialising with friends, that sort of thing. So they are living in the UK, not just studying in the UK. And that living in the UK takes up 90% of their time. And we are there 24/7. So if a student has a problem, say for instance, they are involved in an accident, they're involved in an incident where they have to go to hospital and it's 11 o'clock on a Friday night, we can react straight away. Now, we're not the police or the ambulance service or the fire service, so we can't be there immediately, but we can answer their call immediately. And if it requires us to go, so say for instance, a student and she's been run over and she's in hospital with a broken leg and she's there by herself, we will go. So we will make sure she's okay, she's got what she needs. If she's going to stay the night, does she need pajamas, does she need toothbrush, that sort of thing. If she's not going to stay, does she need transport home? Our coordinator will make sure that we sort her out. So our response is I can't say it's immediate because people's definition of immediate is different, but we will be there as soon as we can if it's necessary. If it's not necessary, we'll do what is necessary without being there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you probably answer a question from Fahim about asking how fast can you respond to students in case of an emergency, because like you mentioned, we are not an emergency response team, but there are some, the police and the ambulance and so on.
Well, the situations where, say for instance, a student has been in accommodation over the winter and the heating's gone off, and the students try to get hold of the landlord and the landlord's ignored them. Now, the last thing we want is a student to be in accommodation where there's no heating. So straight away, that day or the next day, we will go and see the landlord and get the heating sorted out, because it wouldn't be acceptable. So again, we consider it's a very, very, very quick response compared to what you would get from anywhere else. In terms of other businesses and what agents and consultants offer, we are in country. We are the only company that does this. We are the only company that offers this level of service, to the point where if you had an agent or a consultant in India, Pakistan, or wherever it was, they wouldn't be able to turn up to the hospital. They wouldn't be able to organise the storage of equipment. They wouldn't be able to assist with the security of an apartment or something like that. We are here. We are feet on the ground. So we have our partners overseas acting as the agents, and then we deliver the services here.
Now, a question from Mr. Baharat regarding the GPS. What if the GPS stopped working, or the student didn't take the GPS with them, or the GPS didn't work, or some reason or other it got broken?
So first of all, it's down to the student to take the GPS tracker with them. If they want to use it, it's down to them. They will be shown how to use it. It comes with its own little charger that you can put at the side of your bed. The charge lasts for about a week, so it's very easily manageable. In terms of damaging it, all the student has to do is tell us and we get them a new one. That's not a problem. If they lose it, it's not a problem. We'll get a new one. In terms of lost signal, we use the BT network in the UK, which is very strong and robust. It doesn't drop out. it's there most all the time. So we don't tend to worry about that. It's the biggest issue is if whether the students took it out with them and the student is relying on that as a backup, because what normally happens is people have these trackers and then wish they'd had them or wish they took them out with them, rather than, because all you have to do, it's on a little fob, so you can either attach it to a bag, a rucksack, or your belt, or put it in your pocket. You can even wear it around your neck if you wanted to. It's very small and discreet, but it's down to the student to manage that. We can offer it them and remind them, but it's up to them.
What about the last subject that I have regarding job opportunities? How can you help students in job opportunities?
So the jobs come in 3 sections, if you like. First of all, there's this students who want to work while they're carrying out their degree course, be it undergrad, postgrad. Some students like the idea of earning a little bit of extra income, or a good opportunity to meet people and gain experience. So we work with some of the big employers, bars, restaurants, things like that. If the student wants to work in such an environment, or they want to work in hospitality, whatever it is that they're interested in, we can help them. So we help them, and when I say help them, identify what they want to do, sit down and create a CV, go through the applications, and make sure the applications go to the right people, the right organisations, because the last thing students want to do is spend all evening typing out applications online and it's not going to the right people. So we ensure that we understand how it works here in the UK and what they'll need to support that application in terms of CV, references and things like that, and we can help with that. And we can also get them ready for interview if that arises. The next section is the internship, so part of their degree course. Universities, they're very proactive in that, in offering internships, but sometimes the student is looking for something else, and we have a lot of students who are not happy with the interns that have been offered them, so want to look elsewhere. And again, we work with some big manufacturers and big organisations here in the UK. We've built some good relationships up for internships and for post-graduation. So students who've then completed their course and who want to stay in the UK and use that degree to get a good job in the UK. So we've got some good relationships with lots of Rolls-Royce, AstraZeneca, Dell, Microsoft, Google here in the UK, banking, insurance. So whatever the student area they want to go into, again, we can help them with that, create that profile, the CV, the application, and help them succeed in that respect.
Okay, we have a question from Mr. Baharat that if a lockdown was imposed and the flight stops working, what type of help you can provide?
So if another lockdown occurred, if the students want to go back home for what we call repatriation, and they can afford it, we work with private jet companies, so we can facilitate that. We did it for 3 students last year who were able to afford private jets back home, and you can still leave the country through that. We have ways of getting out. In terms of students who remain, again, we've got strategies in place now. We've learned so much from last year. So we sort of have a schedule of making sure physically they're okay, mentally they're okay, do they need medical supplies, PPE equipment, food, ensuring on a 2-day basis, are they okay for everything? And we have a system where they can contact us and say, right, I'm short of food, can you help with food? I'm short of PPE. All those things we can help with. So yeah, it's not a problem for us now because we understand what's expected. The main thing is ensuring that the students are not left on their own and not left isolated. And even the more mature students who are doing the postgrads or the masters and things like that, because they're very focused on their academic studies, they leave the social side of it and become very quickly isolated and homesick. And especially if there's a lockdown where they're not able to meet their peers and their friends and socialise, it can quickly become a problem. So as part of what's happened in the last year, all our staff are mentally health awareness trained. So we can pick up on the signs of students who are suffering with either depression, isolation, or other mental health issues. So that helps us.
I have another question from Mr. Baharat about do you provide extra fee for finding a job?
No, it's helping students get a job is all part of the service.
It's part of the service. Okay. Another question, because we're running out of time. What payment method does SSUK accept if you want to purchase the insurance? And how it is done?
So the insurance.
What payment method do you accept when you purchase the insurance? I don't know. You mean the insurance? We don't sell insurance, but maybe the service, our service. Meaning the question.
Well, if I answer the issue to do with payment, how do they pay for the services? Families register online with their agent. Hopefully they've spoken and conducted the presentation with the agent. They register online. That once they've registered, it takes them through to the payment page, and they can pay online with a Visa, debit, or credit card, or something like that. In terms of the insurance policy that we offer is part of our services, so it's included in the cost, included in the price. We offer one-term insurance, and that comes in 3 parts. The first part, you get free insurance for their personal belongings, property and money. So if a student in the first term loses a laptop or an iPhone or a mobile phone or money or the keys or wallet, they are insured for that loss. If they damage it or if it's stolen, they are insured for that loss. So the insurance will pay out the first term. If a student has to go to hospital and lose a period of time, study time, the insurance pays for the first term study fees. So again, if a student, say for instance, is paying £30,000 for a year for a study, so it's 3 terms, £10,000, they will get the money back from the insurance company if they are in hospital for a period of time and they're not able to study. Then the third part is if the student is in hospital for a long period of time or is hospitalised or needs medical care and a parent is required to come to the UK, the insurance pays for the travel expenses of the parent to come to the UK, one parent. So that's 3 parts. And that's really good in that a lot of things can happen in the first term for students because they are new, inexperienced to life in the UK, and they don't understand what's happening. So giving that insurance, again, it's a little bit of a safety net for when things go wrong. But that insurance policy is provided by Ensley Insurance, who is one of the biggest insurance providers in Europe for students. And we've negotiated a deal with those. So we pay for that insurance policy for each student for the first term. If the students want to carry it on for the rest of the year, they can do so at their own expense. We advise them to, because it is good to have that cover, but that's down to the student and the family. But from our experience, things go wrong in the first term, first 6 months, and it's good to have that reassurance there for them.
And there was a question about dedicated relation manager for India. Yes, we do have a dedicated manager in India, Mrs. Debeka. In case of you need a local coordinator, a relation manager, we have a coordinator and a relation manager in India. That's to answer Mr. Baharat's question. I think we went over an hour now, so I don't see any more questions. And I think just to wrap it up, really, it's as a service that we provide for students, and it gives the parents a peace of mind of what we can do and what we can offer. And as you know, our service is unique and it's new. And I know a lot of parents are looking for such a service for their kids to send to the UK. And that will give them assurance, especially in these kind of tough times with Corona and the restriction of Corona. Hopefully, students will be able to come and live and enjoy studying and living in the UK. With that, I want to thank you, Steve, and sorry about the delay in entering the session, because I think we missed a lot of people because of the time. Because the timetable, everybody was relying. There are the difference in the change in the time in the UK caused this effect with a lot of people. They were expecting it to happen now. But anyway, thank you for your time, and thank everybody for their time, and hope to see you in our next session. We'll try to repeat this session again, and this session will be recorded for anybody who missed it, that they can watch it again on their own time. Okay. Thank you very much, and have a good evening, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Gassam.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.